Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Zach Drew. Welcome to today's show. I have decided to title this particular program, Trump's Crypto Conversion. And it's a game changer for the 2024 elections. We are going to dive deep into the battleground for financial sovereignty in the 2024 election. This truly could sway the election, and you're going to understand how that's possible by the end of this program. Now, I wrote this show this week with such a level of conviction as I was writing it, as I was preparing it. I just wish that our brains could be linked, well, not really, because one day it probably will through the hive mind, but I wish our brains could be linked so that you could understand what I feel is on the horizon. If you could only find, a time machine and travel just 10 years forward into the future and see how life had changed for you because Democrats won the war against cryptocurrency and successfully implemented a central bank digital currency. If you could see that, it would scare you. This isn't some abstract idea that you would observe from a distance. We know what's going on in the world. We know about the wars overseas and this, but this is not something that we would just see from a distance. The degree in which this would alter your life would scare you. Why? Because you would realize how wildly unprepared you are. And obviously, there are many that watch this program that are prepared. This is a generalized statement that the vast majority of Americans, even conservative Americans that know what's going on, are wildly unprepared. That's why this is an important issue. Whether or not it's on your radar right now in June of 2024, it needs to be. And I'm here as a watchman, sitting on the wall, trying to look as far as I can into the distance, looking to see what's on the horizon, and trying to warn the people. That's scripture. Ezekiel 33:6 says, "But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet to warn the people, and the sword comes and takes someone's life, that person's life will be taken because of their sin. But I will hold the watchmen accountable for their blood." That's sobering. That's sobering. And listen, I'm going to be talking about the sinister motivations behind the Democrats' push for central bank digital currencies, that's CBDCs. The Democrats' push for CBDCs is part of a broader agenda, no surprise, for more power and control. And this isn't new. They are the architects of our current banking system, a system that broke away from the gold standard and ensnared us in endless debt and financial instability. And it's paving the way. It's creating a system in which we will become more and more poverty-stricken and more dependent upon the government. And it's no wonder that people are waking up and seeing alternatives like cryptocurrency with its absolutely decentralized nature. It offers a way out of this, financial quagmire. It's a return to financial sovereignty, free from the manipulation of banks and government overreach. People are waking up. That's right, precious metals like gold and silver, they serve as key barometers of how secure people feel in our current financial climate. Do you understand that? And people are buying more of these metals for stability and financial independence in these uncertain times, and it's a barometer. We're seeing that. Well, I'll say this. Join us as we break down how Trump's unexpected endorsement of crypto could turn the tide in the upcoming election. We'll explore why this stance resonates with younger voters and how it might be a strategic move to capture the crucial undecided vote. This episode is going to be packed with insights, revelations that will challenge your understanding of the current financial and political landscape. This is a conversation that you're not going to want to miss. We'll be right back after this. There is so much to discuss on today's program, and I just want to give a little update before we do on our financial situation. So last week we spent about 5 or 10 minutes last week going through the story of what God has done here at the Zach Drew Show. And listen, God is faithful. God has been so good. And as you know, and I know, there are absolutely seasons in your life where it's abundant blessing, and then there are times of scarcity. And, even the Bible even says to rejoice when we face trials and trials of many kinds, because it develops our faith. So we have had a difficult year last year, and I've made it known that we were about $30,000 a deficit. We're $30,000 behind, and then we have an additional $20,000 of deferred maintenance on this property that needs to be taken care of. And our dear friend of the ministry, an awesome individual named Mark Eskander, he, as you know, he manages charitable trusts, and he's been entrusted to care for these people's wealth. And it's just such a blessing to have people like this involved in the ministry. And he called me and said, I'm going to send a check for $10,000. We received it. We deposited it already. We needed to. And then he said, listen, if you can raise another $10,000, I will match it. Okay. So right now we are in a match mode. So I announced it last week. We have raised $2,280 so far of the $10,000 match. And I'm asking everyone to get involved. Please get involved. We need your help. And I am praying that God would just send manna from heaven, that we will not only be able to make up that $30,000, but we will be able to fix the things that need to be fixed here. The easiest ways to give is go to the ZachDrewShow.com. That's ZachDrewShow.com. And you just click the bright orange donate button. It's that easy. And then you can donate there through either Tithely, which is a Christian online payment service, or PayPal, whatever one is easiest for you. ZachDrewShow.com. Click the bright orange donate button. You can also give by writing to Zach Drew Show, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois 62525. I want to thank Gary and Janet. I want to give a special thank you to Dan and Mary. I want to thank Grace, Helen, Angela. A big thank you to Karen and my dear friend Patty for donating this week to this matching fund. We've raised $2,280 of the $10,000 we need to raise to be able to get Mark's matching fund of $10,000. Donate today. We're a 501c3. Everything is tax deductible. Please get involved. I need your help. Let's jump into today's topic. So, former president, cryptocurrency, crypto is becoming a top 2024 election issue as expected. Former President Donald Trump, you need to make no mistake about this, he was very vocal. He has criticized crypto quite a bit in the past. And now he has absolutely embraced it. And I think it's a wonderful move, positioning himself as a defender of digital assets against what he terms a jihad on digital assets by the Biden administration and SEC Chair Gary Gensler, a awful human being that desperately needs the Lord. And I say that because he is destroying America. I mean, absolutely, he is. And let's get into this article. So the article is called Amid Biden Gensler, Jihad on Digital Assets, Trump says, if you like crypto, you better vote for me. In an abrupt reversal from his previous views, former President Trump, who once criticized cryptocurrency, has now embraced it, positioning himself as a defender of digital assets against what he terms a jihad on digital assets by the Biden administration and SEC chair, Gary Gensler. So here's the article. Amid Biden-Gensler jihad on digital assets, Trump says, if you like crypto, you better vote for me. In an abrupt reversal from his previous views, former President Trump appears to have recognized that crypto will be one of the key factors for some voters in the coming election and has embraced the protection of personal sovereignty that the digital currency offers at a time of dwindling trust in the establishment and the growing noise around CBDC-driven total control. So in 2019, President Trump was not a big fan of crypto. This is what he had. And this was, Trump is a brilliant man. He truly is. I believe, in my opinion, he was late to the game with crypto. I think a lot of us, whenever I heard about Bitcoin for the first time, I think it was created in 2009, but whenever I started hearing about it in 2011 and 12 and 13, it was like, no, you don't want to get involved with cryptocurrencies. That's black market stuff. Nothing good takes place. And that's not the world. We've all evolved in our thoughts concerning cryptocurrency, especially with the tens of millions of people that own crypto in America, and even BlackRock getting behind it as, part of their investment portfolio, and the hundreds of other huge companies, dozens of Fortune 500 companies that are implementing cryptocurrency within their businesses. So in 2019, President Trump was not a big fan of crypto, writing at the time on Twitter, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate, and this is what everybody thought. This is why everybody didn't like it. Crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. Now, former President Trump told a group during an event at Mar-a-Lago that if you like crypto in any form, and it comes in many forms, if you're in favor of crypto, then you better vote for me. He has done an absolute 180. He understands the stark contrast between him and his base, and the difference and the wonderful decentralized nature of cryptocurrency versus centralized digital currencies like CBDC that Biden and his administration and basically the liberal base want to implement in our country. Let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say. Go ahead and play that video now.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody. To the nation's 50 million crypto holders, I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
So the article continues by saying Trump's stance is in direct opposition to the jihad against digital assets underway by Gary Gensler. And the rest of Biden's cronies who we assume fear the fact that these assets are beyond their control, and they are, and highlight the success of decentralization, literally the opposite of every centralizing policy measure over the last 3 years plus. You see, the liberals, I want to make this clear, want CBDC, not decentralized cryptocurrency. And all cryptocurrency is decentralized. And you need to learn the difference. I think 90% of my audience knows the difference between cryptocurrency and digital currencies. One is centralized, one is decentralized. The crypto divide between political parties is stark. So conservatives like Trump are promoting the freedom associated with decentralized currencies like Bitcoin and all the hundreds and hundreds of others, while Democrats want centralized digital currencies such as CBDCs. Let's get back into the article. While crypto may not be up there with abortion or the border crisis, for many, it's a game changer. And there is a very clear divide between the anti-crypto army of Warren and Republicans' apparent more broad embrace of the freedom-loving currencies. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I think everything else is interesting already, but this is where it really gets interesting for me. The people in the middle, the undecideds, the people who have not decided, or maybe just kind of leaning one way or the other, how this is going to affect them. in a huge way. This is going to be huge. You see, I often discuss politics with an attorney friend of mine who believes that elections aren't decided by staunch Republicans or staunch liberals, as their minds are already made up. And I agree with him. Instead, it's the small group of undecided voters in the middle who can sway the outcome of the entire election. Now, if we consider which age group to target for influence, it's important to note that people tend to become more conservative as they get older. Therefore, younger voters, in my opinion, particularly those who are undecided, are crucial for shaping the election results. We have talked about this on the program before, and this is why I believe it's important to target Gen Z, millennials, because the older you get, the more conservative you've already become. And there are millions and millions of people that either tend to be left or are still undecided in the Gen Z and millennial categories. Look, I mean, I've talked about this poll before. In 2019, The Hill released a poll that found this is who's mostly in favor of a socialistic system. If you're 18 to 24, it's 56%. If you're 25 to 34, it's 48%. Then it goes down to the category of 55 through 64, it's 27%. And 65 and older, 22%. The older you get, the more conservative you are. And I believe that this is because, one, there is that quote that talks about, if you're not a Democrat whenever you're young, you have no heart. But if you're not a conservative whenever you're old, then you have no brain. And there might be some truth to that. But also, I think for this study, this poll, I think this clearly illustrates that the further you go back in time, the closer you get to schools, families, communities being more Christ-centered. You get closer and the further back you go, the closer you become to learning true American history of what it means to be an American and passing that torch along to each following generation. You get closer and closer to that God-centered Christian Judeo belief system and values. And the further away, the closer you get to present time, the further away we get from that, creating a more socialistic society. So one huge issue that would swing Gen Z and millennials in this election, I believe, is the single issue of cryptocurrency. Now, what am I talking about? Let's take a look at this article. It's pretty interesting. So these are the countries with the highest rates of crypto ownership. This graphic via Visual Capitalist Marcus ranks the top 10 countries by their rate of cryptocurrency ownership, which is the percentage of the population that owns crypto. So you can see there, if you just put the graphic on the screen, third down on the list is America. 53 million people own cryptocurrency in America, which is a staggering number. 15.6% of Americans own crypto. Now, that by itself, like I said, is an amazing number. It's huge. But you need to take into consideration that you actually have to be 18 years old or it is impossible to buy any, all right? I mean, you actually have to have it. It's a lengthy process. I mean, actually uploading all of your IDs and all the background stuff, there's no forging that, all right? You have to be 18 or older to own cryptocurrency. So think about it like that. So 22 million people in America are below the age of 18. So if you take away those 22 million people that can't even own crypto and can't even vote in elections, there are around 260 million adults left in America, meaning that 53 million is over 20% of the adult population. So if you don't think that this is a huge issue, 1 out of every 5 people you walk by at any given time, anywhere, has a digital wallet with cryptocurrency. So, this is what Donald Trump had to say to those 50 million cryptocurrency holders just this week.
They are against it. The Biden doesn't even know what it is. If you ask Biden, sir, are you for or against crypto? What's that? What the? Get me off the stage. He's saying, get me off the stage. No, he has no idea. But look, Gensler is very much against it. The Democrats are very much against it. And I say this, a lot of people are very much for it, probably a lot of the people in this group, and I'm fine with it. I want to make sure it's good and solid and everything else, but I'm good with it. And if you like crypto in any form, and it comes in a lot of different forms, if you're in favor of crypto, you better vote for Trump.
I really think that he just got a great deal of votes for that. I really do. So I think the next question is, who owns the cryptocurrency? Let's take a look at this pie chart. Unbelievable. 94% of crypto buyers are between the ages of 18 to 40. Wow. Nearly 94% of cryptocurrency buyers are in the ages of 18 to 40. Unbelievable. And you can see that in the chart. Blue is millennials, and the next dark orange is Gen Z. So with Gen Z millennials making up the majority, and then you have Gen X and boomers account for only a small percentage of cryptocurrency buyers. But once again, remember, as the older you get, the more conservative you become. So really, I think the target here is Gen Z and millennials. So understand this. I believe Trump is truly a huge proponent of crypto and financial sovereignty. But he's also a very smart man that understands his endorsement of crypto is a healthy strategy aimed at winning over a demographic that values decentralization and financial sovereignty, particularly at a time when trust in traditional institutions is declining. And those few million people that are undecided, the undecideds in these categories, what will they do? Well, I'll tell you, it's just the way the world works, people's values, whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, it's not the case I'm making, it's just the way the world works, people's values and priorities, they often have a funny way of shifting significantly when their own money is on the line. Here are just a few different secular quotes on money that do hold a lot of truth in the world we live in today. This is just how it is. Follow the money, Deep Throat, the informant for during the Watergate scandal said. Money talks, and it often shouts. Another quote, in the end, the only people who fail are those who do not follow the money. He who holds the purse strings holds the power. And the most fitting quote for this situation that we're looking at right now, and I'm trying to make a case that this is it's huge. Money is the most persuasive argument. So once again, crypto becoming a 2024 election issue could swing many undecided votes in the Gen Z and millennial generations. An exciting time. All right, I want to change directions, and I want to bring the Bible into this. What does the Bible have to say about cryptocurrencies? What does the Bible have to say about digital currencies altogether? What do you feel will happen to the dollar between now and Christ's return? And everybody has a different worldview. A lot of denominations have different end times eschatology. Do you feel things will increasingly get better or increasingly worse before his return? You see, the answers to those questions should affect your thoughts on things like, cryptocurrencies, like gold and silver and other physical assets. And that list is long, including items to barter with. And like I said, people are feeling it right now. I mean, gold hit an all-time high in the month of May. And like I said, the gold and silver are a barometer of people's financial or their trust in the current financial situation. And silver, just in January, I think it was at like $22 in this year. And just last week, it was up over $32, almost a 50% increase just since January of this year. You see, if you have a dystopian view of the future where the value of the dollar wanes, some believe crypto is an insurance against your total financial collapse. So your opinion of the rise or fall of the future crypto market really should mirror your worldview. And if it doesn't, then you don't understand the culture behind the crypto market. If your worldview has you believing that the future looks more calm, stable, relatively undisturbed, that things are on the mend type of future, that worldview would suggest that the crypto market may actually decrease rather than increase. If you think people are going to start trusting the government more. But if you hold a Christian worldview who filters current events through more of a historic premillennialism standpoint, in which things will get progressively worse on the planet until Jesus physically rules and reigns on the earth for those 1,000 years, that worldview would suggest that that things become more unstable and quite disturbed, causing things like cryptocurrencies to become more stable and digital currencies to become the norm. And I want to say, so I don't get sued, that I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So will digital currencies be the currency of the beast system? I absolutely believe it will. You see, Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17 says this. Also, it causes all, talking about the Antichrist, the beast, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. So think about it like that. If the Antichrist is going to be able to monitor every single transaction throughout the entire world, the most indigenous and rural places, the only way that that's going to be possible is if there is an all-knowing digital ledger that our government is trying to set up right now through the central bank digital currency, CBDCs. This is centralized, this is monitored, and this is what our government is seeking right now. Things are accelerating. They're not going to slow down. And with things accelerating, our minds have got to be in the right place. We have to be focused on the things that God wants us to be focused on. And it's time to make yourself heavy spiritually, right? Right. I'm trying to make myself less heavy physically. But it's a time that we make ourselves heavy spiritually because things are about ready to shake. And the way to do that is filling yourself with the Word of God, the immovable, unshakable rock, the firm foundation. Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 27 says, "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice," so not just everyone who hears Jesus' words, but everyone who puts them into practice, "they are like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house." That house is your life. And those storms are the storms of life. But yet it did not fall. Why? Because they not only heard the words of Jesus, but put them into practice. When the winds blew and beat against that house, it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. And the rain came down and the streams rose and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. Many people around us, they have been pursuing the kingdom that God has rather than the king. Our focus needs to be on the king. Everything else can or would come and may come in good time. But our focus needs to be on Jesus. That's what it's all about. There is a spiritual earthquake coming. The ground is going to be shaking. Fill yourself with the Word of God as much and as often as you can. You will never regret spending time with Jesus. You will never regret worshiping Him. You will never regret spending time in His Word. Do it now. Do it today, right now. Hey, I'm so grateful that you joined me on today's program. I want to end with, remember, right now we need your help, and we have a $10,000 match right now. We've raised just over $2,000 of that 10, so we've nearly 80% left to go. Get behind us. Get behind us. Go to ZachDrewShow.com and click that bright orange donate button, or you can write us at Zach Drew Show, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. I'll see you next week.